The moment you realize they're ignoring you, the temptation is unbearable. You want to fight for attention, to prove your worth, to make them see you. But here's the truth: you are already enough. Your value doesn't depend on whether someone notices or acknowledges you. Let's dive into why, when they ignore you, the last thing you should do is chase them. When we chase someone who is ignoring us, we are subconsciously giving away our power. We are telling ourselves that their approval is the key to our happiness, and that without it, we are somehow incomplete. The desire to be seen, heard, and valued is fundamental to our human experience. But when we start seeking that validation from someone who isn't paying attention to us, we betray ourselves. The truth is, we don't need anyone to validate our worth, because our worth is intrinsic and unchangeable. It's within us from the moment we take our first breath. Weeds with whether or not someone notices us at any given moment. The need for external validation is a deeply ingrained habit in many of us. From the time we are children, we are conditioned to look for approval from our parents, teachers, peers, and society. We are taught that the opinion of others should carry weight, that being accepted and praised by others is the mark of success. But what happens when that external validation is withheld? We start to feel small, unimportant, and like we've done something wrong. We begin to chase it. But here's the hard truth. If you are constantly looking outside of yourself for approval, you are telling yourself that you are not enough as you are. This is not just a minor issue. It's a deep-rooted misunderstanding of who we truly are. If we are constantly looking for someone else to validate us, we are denying our own inner power. We forget that we are whole just as we are. In the moments when you stop chasing validation and simply stand in your own truth, you begin to reclaim the power you've given away. Think about the times in your life when you felt confident, secure, and unshakable. It wasn't because of someone else's opinion of you. It was because you knew your worth in that moment. You were comfortable in your skin. When we chase someone who is ignoring us, we put all our emotional energy into them instead of ourselves. We forget that we can be the source of our own affirmation. The act of chasing is exhausting, both emotionally and mentally. It takes up precious energy that could be used for growth, self-improvement, or following our passions. When we pour our focus into someone who is choosing to ignore us, we are essentially wasting time that we can never get back. Every minute spent trying to get someone's attention is a minute not spent on our own goals, our own happiness, or our own development. If we want to live a fulfilling life, we must stop waiting for others to recognize our value and start recognizing it ourselves. Chasing is a distraction that keeps us from our true path, and it prevents us from fully stepping into the life we are meant to create. More than just being an energy drain, chasing also keeps us in a cycle of uncertainty and self-doubt. When we're constantly seeking external approval, we end up questioning our own decisions, our worth, and our ability to succeed. We become tethered to someone else's idea of who we should be. This only reinforces the belief that we can't be confident in our own choices and that we must look outside ourselves for reassurance. But here's the thing. When you stop chasing, you free yourself from that cycle. You break free from the need to constantly second-guess yourself, and you allow your own inner wisdom to guide you. You stop seeking permission, and instead, you start living as the person you were always meant to be. Chasing validation is an act of desperation. It comes from a place of fear of being ignored, fear of being rejected, fear of not being good enough. But when we are willing to stop chasing, we are making a powerful statement to ourselves. We are worthy, regardless of whether or not someone notices us. We don't need their approval to validate our existence. We can be whole, strong, and confident, all on our own. The moment we stop looking outside of ourselves for validation is the moment we begin to truly see ourselves for who we are, powerful, capable, and deserving of all the good things has to offer. When we stop chasing, we stop living in fear, and we start living in the full acceptance of who we are. When we invest time and energy in chasing someone who is ignoring us, we are essentially diverting our focus away from our own lives and aspirations. Think about it. Every moment spent hoping for someone's attention or validation is a moment taken away from nurturing our own growth. We all have limited resources, time, energy, and emotional bandwidth. And when we pour them into someone who isn't reciprocating, we are losing out on the opportunity to focus on what truly matters, ourselves. This isn't just a small inconvenience. It's a fundamental misallocation of our resources. Instead of putting our energy into improving ourselves, learning new things, or pursuing our passions, so we get caught in the chase, hoping for something that may never come. The longer we continue to chase, the further we stray from the person we're truly meant to become. Chasing not only takes away our time and energy, but it also keeps us in a perpetual state of waiting. The act of waiting for someone to give us the attention or recognition we crave puts us in a passive position. We are waiting for them to act, to notice us, to validate our worth. Move forward, give us permission. This is a dangerous trap. The truth is, no one else has the power to give us permission to live our best life. The power lies within us to make the decision to move forward, regardless of whether or not someone notices. Every minute spent waiting for external validation is a minute wasted that could be used to take meaningful steps toward the life we want. The idea that chasing is an energy drain becomes even clearer when we consider the emotional cost of constantly seeking attention from someone who isn't responsive. Think about the emotional roller coaster. We send the text, we wait for the reply, we refresh the page, we analyze every word they say or don't say. This is exhausting. It's not just the physical energy we're losing, it's our emotional well-being that takes a hit. We begin to tie our emotional state to someone else's actions, allowing their indifference or neglect to dictate how we feel. This constant up and down creates an emotional whiplash that keeps us in a cycle of uncertainty, confusion, and ultimately, emotional depletion. No relationship, whether personal or professional, is worth draining yourself emotionally over. True strength comes when we stop giving someone else the power to dictate our emotional state. Instead of waiting for their response, we take control of our own feelings and emotional well-being. When we're caught in the act of chasing, we're not only giving away our time, energy, and emotional resources, but we're also placing ourselves in a disempowerment. Chasing someone who is ignoring us puts us in the mindset of scarcity, as if we have to prove ourselves worthy in order to be acknowledged. This is the complete opposite of empowerment. Empowerment comes from knowing that you enough, just as you are. When we chase, we give away that sense of self-assurance and self-worth. We place the value of who we are in the hands of someone else, as though they hold the key to our sense of adequacy. But the truth is that nobody else holds the key to your self-worth. The only person who can unlock that door is you. When we stop chasing, we regain control over how we feel about ourselves. We stop giving away our power, and we take back the reins of our own lives. The longer we chase, the more we become entangled in someone else's world, and the less we focus on creating our own. Chasing can easily become a cycle that robs us of the opportunities and experiences that are waiting for us elsewhere. We begin to believe that we are only worthy when someone else sees us. Thus, they matter more than we do, and over time, this message becomes ingrained in our subconscious. We begin to believe that we are only worthy when someone else sees us. But the reality is that the world is full of opportunities, relationships, and experiences that are aligned with who we truly are. If we continue to chase, we limit our ability to see and embrace these opportunities. We are so focused on the one person who is ignoring us that we fail to notice the abundance that is available to us. Life is full of possibility, but we have to be willing to stop looking backward and start moving forward. At some point, we have to realize that the person we are chasing may not even be the right person for us. They may not have the emotional capacity, the willingness, or the ability to meet us where we are. And that's okay. But chasing someone who doesn't value us for who we are is not just a waste of time. It's a denial of the kind of relationships and experiences that truly deserve our energy. When we stop chasing, we open ourselves up to new possibilities. We free ourselves from the chains of seeking approval from someone who may not even appreciate what we bring to the table. When we redirect our energy from chasing to building our own lives and connecting with people who value us, we create space for relationships that are fulfilling, reciprocal, Chasing doesn't just drain us, it keeps us from living fully and from finding the connections that will truly enrich our lives. When someone ignores you, it can feel like a personal rejection. We're wired to believe that when people fail to acknowledge us, it means something is wrong with us. But in reality, their refusal to engage has very little to do with your worth. Their inability to recognize you is a reflection of their limitations, not a commentary on who you are. Sometimes people are distracted, dealing with their own struggles, or simply not in a place where they can see your light. But that doesn't diminish who you are. It's vital to remember that someone's failure to acknowledge you does not define your value. You are not less because they can't or won't see you. In many cases, when we experience being ignored, we internalize it. We start to believe that we must not be worthy of attention or love. This is where the danger lies. We begin to measure our self-worth by someone else's ability to see it. This is an incredibly dangerous path because it makes us reliant on others for validation, rather than looking inward for affirmation. Your value, your worth, your significance is inherent. It doesn't fluctuate based on external opinions. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that if someone doesn't notice us, there's something wrong with us, but that's simply not the case. Their inability to see you as an indictment of your existence, it is a sign of their own limitations. When we stop allowing someone's indifference to affect how we see ourselves, we start to take back our power. Your worth cannot be dictated by someone who is unwilling or unable to acknowledge it. Instead of feeling diminished by their lack of attention, choose to recognize your value for yourself. You have everything you need to feel complete and whole. It's not about waiting for someone to recognize your brilliance. It's about recognizing it yourself and standing tall in the truth of who you are. When you stop allowing someone's failure to see you to define your value, you free yourself from the chains of insecurity and doubt. It's also important to understand that people are constantly in different stages of their own lives. Their inability to notice you may not be personal at all. It might be a reflection of where they are emotionally, mentally, or even spiritually. They might not have the capacity to see the beauty in you simply because they're too caught up in their own world. This is not your fault. It doesn't mean you are any less deserving of attention, love, or respect. You are still worthy, whether or not someone is able to recognize it at the moment. Their inability to see you is not a reflection of your character or your value. It's a reflection of their limitations. And that's something you cannot control. When someone ignores you, they are not the ones who define your worth. You are, by internalizing the truth that your value doesn't depend on someone else's recognition, you begin to embrace the idea that you are enough as you are. When you stop looking outward for validation, you create space for self-acceptance. You begin to realize that you don't need the approval or acknowledgement of others to feel complete. You are already whole. The people who truly matter, the ones who can recognize and appreciate your worth, will find you in the right time, under the right circumstances. You don't need to chase after them. They will come naturally into your life when you stand firm in your authenticity. At the end of the day, the only person who can truly define your worth is you. If someone ignores you, remember that it's an opportunity to reaffirm your belief in yourself. You don't need their approval to know who you are. When you stop seeking recognition from those who can't see you, you empower yourself to live life on your terms. You no longer need someone else's validation to feel validated. You are the source of. The moment you stop measuring your worth by someone else's inability to see you is the moment you truly begin to live authentically and unapologetically. When you constantly chase someone who is ignoring you, you are unknowingly robbing yourself of energy and focus that could be better spent on personal growth and self-care. It's easy to get trapped in the cycle of trying to get someone's attention, especially when we feel the sting of their indifference. But the reality is that this constant pursuit leaves you drained. The energy you use trying to understand why they aren't responding, why they aren't seeing your worth, or why they're not acknowledging you could be channeled into areas that truly nurture you. Whether it's investing in your career, deepening your relationships with people who do value you, or cultivating your own passions, chasing someone who doesn't value you depletes the precious energy that could otherwise fuel your own growth and transformation. The more we chase, the more we unknowingly become dependent on someone else's approval to feel whole. We start to measure our own worth by how they respond to us, whether through messages, gestures, or even their simple presence. This dependency makes us feel incomplete without their acknowledgement. But the truth is, no one has the right to make you feel small or insignificant. You were born whole, deserving of love and respect without needing to chase anyone to affirm that. The more you chase, the more you teach yourself that you need external validation in order to feel good enough. It's a slippery slope that undermines your self-worth and keeps you perpetually searching for affirmation from others. When you stop chasing, you begin to affirm your own worth without relying on someone else's. Another downside of chasing is that it keeps us focused on someone who isn't giving us the attention we deserve instead of redirecting that energy toward relationships and opportunities that thrive. By continuously chasing someone who is emotionally unavailable, we ignore the people around us who truly see us, you appreciate us, and support us. When we invest too much in one person who isn't reciprocating, we inadvertently shut ourselves off from the possibilities that exist in other, more nourishing connections. There are people out there, friends, mentors, colleagues, and even new acquaintances who will value you for who you truly are. Then discovering and deep connections with those who can see the full scope of your potential. The energy you waste chasing someone who isn't noticing you can be reinvested in discovering and deepening connections with those who can see the full scope of your potential. Chasing also keeps you in a place of emotional instability. When we continually seek someone's approval or acknowledgement, our emotional well-being becomes tethered to their actions or lack thereof. Or don't respond in the way we expect, we begin to feel less than, questioning our worth and our place in the world. This constant cycle of emotional highs and lows is exhausting. You'll start to feel like you're riding a wave, never fully grounded, always waiting for the next emotional reaction. This emotional instability can affect your self-confidence, your decision-making, and even your sense of identity. The key to emotional stability lies in being able to stand firm in your value, regardless of how others choose to engage with you. When you stop chasing, you begin to reclaim control of your emotions and stop giving someone else the power to determine how you feel about yourself. Moreover, chasing someone who is ignoring you keeps you stuck in a loop of uncertainty. You're constantly wondering why they haven't responded, why they haven't made time for you, or why they haven't acknowledged your worth. This uncertainty clouds your judgment and prevents you from moving forward with clarity and purpose. Instead of focusing on growth or moving toward your goals, you're fixated on someone's decision not to engage with you. The energy spent on trying to decipher their actions could be better utilized on making decisions that will positively impact your life. You have the ability to create your own future, but when you are constantly looking for answers from someone else, you surrender your... Letting go of the chase clears the path for you to move forward with purpose and intention, allowing you to create a future that aligns with your desires, not someone else's ability to see you. Finally, chasing someone who isn't seeing or valuing you holds you back from stepping into your true potential. You are full of untapped potential, dreams and aspirations waiting to be realized. But as long as you continue to chase after someone's elusive attention, you hold yourself back. Chasing someone who is ignoring you keeps you stuck in a pattern of self-doubt and self-neglect. You may find yourself questioning your worth or wondering what you're doing wrong. But the reality is, there's nothing wrong with you. You are worthy, you are capable, and you are deserving of all the love, success, and opportunities that come your way. When you stop chasing, you shift your energy toward becoming the best version of yourself, rather than waiting for someone else to validate your existence. You reclaim your power, refocus your energy, and set yourself free from the cycle of unrequited effort. By letting go of the chase, you open up space to step into the life that is truly meant for you. When we constantly look for validation from others, we allow their perception of us to shape our self-worth. It's easy to fall into this trap, especially when we're craving attention, acceptance, or love from someone important in our lives. The more we seek external validation, the more we disconnect from our own internal compass. We start to rely on others to tell us who we are and how valuable we are. The problem with this is that people's perceptions are subjective and constantly changing. One person may see us as strong and capable, while another may see us as weak or unimportant. When we let others' opinions dictate our self-worth, we place ourselves at the mercy of their moods, biases, and limitations. But the truth is, we cannot control how others see us. We can only control how we see ourselves. When we stop seeking validation from others, we reclaim the power to define ourselves on our terms. The act of constantly seeking approval from someone who is ignoring you only serves to reinforce a negative cycle. Each time you reach out, waiting for a response, you are reinforcing the belief that their opinion of you is what matters most. This cycle becomes exhausting, both mentally and emotionally. You begin to tie your happiness and self-esteem to someone else's willingness to acknowledge you. But the longer you chase, the more you become dependent on their validation. This is not a healthy way to live. Instead of focusing on how others perceive you, it's crucial to turn your attention inward. You have the power to validate yourself, and once you start doing that, you break free from the cycle of seeking approval from others. Self-validation is the key to emotional freedom. It allows you to maintain a sense of peace and confidence, no matter who may or may not respond to you. When you stop chasing someone who is ignoring you, you start to create space for growth and self-improvement. It's incredibly difficult to move forward when you're stuck in the past, obsessing over someone's disregard. Chasing someone who isn't paying attention to you takes you out of the present moment and keeps you focused on someone else's indifference. This means you miss out on opportunities to focus on yourself and your personal development. There are countless ways you can invest in your own growth. Whether it's learning a new skill, focusing on your career, building your physical health, or cultivating stronger relationships with people who truly appreciate you. When we stop waiting for someone else to see our worth, we take back the control and start investing in ourselves. Chasing only keeps us stuck in a state of stagnation, but stepping away from that energy allows us to move forward and create meaningful progress in our own lives. Focusing on someone who ignores you can easily become an emotional drain. Every time you chase someone who isn't responding to you, you are depleting your emotional reserves, leaving you feeling more fragile and uncertain. This emotional depletion can affect every area of your life. When we are emotionally drained, we lack the energy to focus on our goals, engage in healthy relationships, or enjoy the present moment. We become fixated on the one person who isn't giving us the attention we crave, and in doing so, we overlook the things that truly matter. Emotional depletion doesn't just affect our mood. It can interfere with our productivity, mental clarity, and overall well-being. The more energy you put into chasing someone, the less you have left for yourself. By letting go of the chase, you can reclaim your emotional energy and redirect it toward things that help you grow and thrive. When we seek validation from others, we are essentially giving away our power to define ourselves. It's easy to feel lost when someone isn't paying attention to us or doesn't seem to recognize our value. But we must understand that our worth is not determined by someone else's opinion. Your value doesn't fluctuate based on someone's response to you. You are valuable, worthy, and enough as you are, regardless of how someone else treats you. When you stop chasing, you stop putting your worth in the hands of others. Instead, you begin to cultivate an inner sense of worth that is not dependent on external validation. This inner confidence is what will allow you to walk through life with a sense of security, knowing that you don't need anyone's approval to know your own value. Lastly, when you stop chasing someone who is ignoring you, you allow yourself to step into your own power. Chasing keeps you in a place of vulnerability and dependence, waiting for someone to acknowledge you before you feel good about yourself. But real power comes from within. When you stop seeking approval from others, you reclaim your agency and take control of your life. This doesn't mean you'll never seek connection or approval from others, but it means that your sense of self-worth and power is no longer tied to their recognition. You can stand firm in who you are, regardless of whether others see it. This is where true confidence comes from, knowing that you are enough, whether or not someone else chooses to notice you. The moment you stop chasing, you start living, and that is when your true power will shine. When someone is ignoring you, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you need to chase after them to get their attention or to prove your worth. This instinct to seek validation from others is deeply ingrained in us as humans. We crave connection, affirmation, and acknowledgement. However, the act of chasing someone who is indifferent only serves to diminish your sense of self. It positions you in a place of vulnerability where you are constantly waiting for someone else to validate your existence, which is a dangerous mindset. Your value does not lie in the approval of others. It lies in who you are, what you stand for, and how you choose to live your life irrespective of their recognition. When you stop chasing, you begin to regain control over your sense of self and restore your inner peace. This shift in perspective frees you from the emotional turmoil of seeking approval and allows you to focus on what truly matters: your own growth, happiness, and fulfillment. The act of chasing someone who isn't reciprocating your efforts also keeps you stuck in a state of dependency. Every time you send that text, make that call, or reach out again, you're essentially telling yourself that their opinion is more important than your own. You're placing your emotional well-being in their hands, giving them power over your peace of mind. This dependency can be incredibly draining, leaving you emotionally exhausted and unfulfilled. When you continuously chase, you're reinforcing the belief that you can't be okay unless they acknowledge you. The truth, however, is that your happiness and self-worth should not be contingent on someone else's recognition. By shifting your focus from chasing to self-reflection and self-validation, you free yourself from this emotional trap and begin to take ownership. This shift is not just liberating, it's empowering. Another key issue with chasing someone who is ignoring you is that it pulls your attention away from the opportunities and people who truly matter. When you focus all your energy on one person who is emotionally unavailable, you miss out on the many other meaningful relationships and experiences that could enrich your life. By putting all your focus on someone who isn't paying attention, you're neglecting the people around you who appreciate you for who you are. There are friends, colleagues, mentors, and even potential new relationships who are eager to support you and value you. But you cannot see them if your eyes are fixed solely on one person who is ignoring you. This tunnel vision keeps you stuck in a limited space, blocking the doors to new opportunities. When you stop chasing, you open up the space for new, positive connections to enter your life. Connections that are reciprocal and aligned with your true self. The emotional cost of chasing someone who doesn't notice or appreciate you is often underestimated. Every time you put yourself out there and are met with silence or disregard, it takes an oh. The constant cycle of hope and disappointment wears down your resilience and undermines your confidence. It's mentally exhausting to wait for a response, to continually question what you did wrong or why they aren't giving you the attention you crave. This emotional roller coaster can lead to feelings of worthlessness, insecurity, and anxiety. Your emotional energy is precious, and when you invest it in someone who isn't willing to engage with you, you're slowly depleting your own emotional reserves. Instead of investing that energy into someone who isn't responding, consider redirecting it into self-care. Pursuits that will build your emotional resilience. Protecting your emotional energy is key to maintaining mental and emotional well-being. Another profound impact of chasing is the self-doubt it fosters. When we are ignored, we often start questioning ourselves. What's wrong with me? Oh, why don't they like me? Am I not enough? These questions can spiral into negative self-talk and erode our sense of self-worth. The longer we chase, the more we reinforce the belief that we are somehow lacking. This negative self-talk, chasing someone who is ignoring you, can lead to a self-perpetuating cycle of insecurity, where you begin to doubt your own value and question your place in the world. However, when you stop chasing, you reclaim your sense of self. You remind yourself that you are worthy of love, respect, and attention, not because someone else validates you, but because you are inherently worthy. Finally, by stopping the chase, you regain control over your own life. Your free future, this creates a sense of helplessness, as if you're not in the driver's seat of your own life. However, when you choose to stop chasing, you empower yourself to take charge of your own journey. You become the one who decides what your life will look like, who will be a part of it, and how you will spend your time. This shift is not just about ceasing to pursue someone. It's about reclaiming your autonomy. You stop waiting for someone else to dictate your self-esteem and take active steps toward building a fulfilling life on your own terms. By shifting your focus away from chasing, you redirect your energy toward creating a life that reflects your true desires, not someone else's ability or inability to recognize you. When you constantly chase after someone who is ignoring you, you are, in a way, choosing to remain in a state of emotional uncertainty. Each attempt you make to reach out to get their attention reinforces the belief that your happiness and sense of self-worth depend on their acknowledgement. This reliance on external validation can leave you feeling like you're living in someone else's shadow instead of standing in your own light. It becomes a game of seeking approval, one in which you are always waiting for someone else's. What you may fail to realize is that this dynamic is a form of emotional dependency where your self-esteem is tied to another person's actions or lack thereof. When you stop chasing, you regain control over your emotional well-being, empowering yourself to live authentically without needing anyone else to validate your worth. By continuously chasing someone who is not responding to you, you train your mind to believe that their lack of engagement means there is something wrong with you. This belief is toxic because it breeds self-doubt. You begin to question your worth, second-guess your actions, and wonder what you might be doing wrong. The truth is, when someone chooses to ignore you, it says far more about their emotional capacity, their priorities, or their limitations than it does about who you are as a person. Their silence is not a reflection of your inadequacy. It's a reflection of their inability or unwillingness to engage. You don't need to change who you are to gain someone's approval. You don't need to earn your worth from someone who is not willing to see it. Stopping the chase means breaking free from this cycle of self-questioning and embracing the understanding that your value is inherent, not conditional. Chasing someone who is emotionally unavailable also means you're putting your energy into someone who is not reciprocating your efforts. This can drain you emotionally, mentally, and even physically, leaving you feeling exhausted and unfulfilled. You may feel as though you're stuck in an endless loop, always trying to get their attention, but never quite succeeding. What you're doing, though, is unknowingly depleting your emotional reserves, leaving you with little energy to invest in yourself or the people who do see you and value you. The emotional toll this takes can become so significant that you begin to lose touch with your own needs, focusing solely on someone else's behavior. Instead of pouring your energy into someone who is ignoring you, you could be nurturing relationships with those who genuinely care about you, who bring positivity and support into your life. Redirecting your energy back into yourself allows you to heal, grow, and invest in the things that matter most to your well-being. Moreover, when you chase someone who isn't paying attention to you, you risk missing out on other connections that could be far more rewarding and fulfilling. Focusing on one person who refuses to engage keeps you blind to the richness of relationships that could be forming around you. There are people in your life, friends, colleagues, family members, who genuinely care and who can see the best in you. But you're so preoccupied with the one person who is not reciprocating that you fail to nurture these valuable connections. Relationships should be a source of mutual respect, love, and support, not a one-sided chase for attention. When you stop chasing someone who isn't noticing you, you make space for the right relationships to flourish. These connections will not require you to chase after them. They will be based on mutual appreciation and respect, which are the foundations of truly meaningful relationships. The psychological effect of chasing someone who is emotionally unavailable is significant. And it fosters feelings of inadequacy and lowers your sense of self-worth. When you continually try to get someone's attention and they remain indifferent, it creates a cycle of negative emotions, frustration, disappointment, sadness, and sometimes these emotions can cloud your judgment, making it harder to see the situation for what it truly is. Instead of seeing it as a reflection of their inability to engage, you may internalize it as a reflection of your own shortcomings. This is dangerous because it gives away your power to someone who is not even engaging with you. Breaking free from the chase means you can begin to rebuild your self-esteem and reclaim your emotional stability. You stop letting someone else's indifference dictate your emotional responses, and instead, you take ownership of how you feel. Lastly, when you stop chasing someone who is ignoring you, you give yourself the freedom to move on and create a life that aligns with your true desires. Chasing someone keeps you emotionally tethered to them, unable to fully move forward or embrace new possibilities. You are constantly looking back, wondering if they will respond or if something will change. But by choosing to stop the chase, you allow yourself to fully engage with the present moment and embrace new opportunities that come your way. You become free to explore new relationships, new experiences, and new goals without the weight of someone else's neglect. When you release the need to chase, you also release the emotional baggage that comes with it, enabling you to create a future where you are in the driver's seat, charting a path toward your own happiness and fulfillment. When you finally stop chasing someone who is ignoring you, you take back control of your life. You stop letting someone else's indifference define your worth and instead start defining it for yourself. This shift doesn't just free you from the emotional toll of seeking validation. It opens up space for you to thrive. You reclaim your energy, your confidence, and your peace. You realize that your value was never dependent on someone else's acknowledgement, and you begin to focus on what truly matters: your growth, your happiness, and the relationships that truly nourish you. By letting go of the chase, you unlock your true potential and allow yourself to create a life that is rich with authenticity, love, and self-respect. Remember, you are enough. No chase required.